Hey, Blessed Leaf people. This is Blessed Leaf Daily. So glad you're here. I'm Kyle Hoover. I'm the lead pastor of Blessed Leaf. And this is the, I don't even know what part of church, OMG, WTF, and LOL. Because I didn't realize how many notes I put down here, but I guess it was a lot. But it is what it is. I'm smoking still the Fuente Hemingway. I took the band off because it's just a little one. And hopefully this has been a blessing to you. I just kind of giving you my thoughts and opinions on this, and my perspective, which I guess all of this just is my perspective. But hopefully this is, ministering to you and blessing your life. I mean, that's the bottom line. What we're endeavoring to do with Blessed Leaf is to bless you and bring you closer to God. That's really what we want to do. We don't just want this to be like, yeah, we all smoke and it's fun. You get smoking fun everywhere else, but we want that plus, hey, smoking fun with the Lord, which is the best thing ever. So I'm talking about different aspects of church and why I think it's good for you to be involved in a local fellowship, however that looks. If it's just a brick and mortar church, or if it's a Bible study, or maybe a group that you go to at your local cigar lounge, that's great. But I'm kind of going through why people don't attend church or don't get involved, and they just kind of become little Christian hermits and stuff like that. Armchair Christians, living room Christians. Oh, such a good cigar. And I left off with talking about people get hurt in church and they leave and they don't ever come back, because they disagree or whatever. There's genuine hurt that happens just dealing with people in general. I get that. I've been there, and I feel you. I talked about that on the last video. The other reason people leave is just because they get their feelings hurt, but they're just being little whiners. That's kind of a different thing. The pastors and stuff in church, and the way God works is that, God says that whom he loves as sons or children, he disciplines them that way. And we all need correction and direction in our lives. And a lot of times when that comes from, the pastor or the leader there at the church, people get all butthurt and they take off and they leave because they're being little babies about it. But God has put that person, if you're in that church, as a spiritual leader in your life. The Bible says he watches over your soul, and God will put it on his heart and mandate him to address an issue with you that's hurting you, or an issue of sin that's like, hey, you need to deal with this, and they want to walk you through that and all that stuff. And people don't want to basically leave their sin or their sin lifestyle, and so they just leave. And this is America, and you are free to do whatever you want to do. And in the kingdom of God, you know what you can do is, if you ever watch the Hodge twins, they have an interesting way of saying that you can do whatever you want to do. Go to their YouTube channel and you can see what I'm talking about. But I don't get any emails on that. But there's consequences to that. There's blessing missed out on that. There could be spiritual, eternal repercussions to something like that. So if you're, I'm just getting your cookies. If you've left a church because you got all butt hurt over some stupid thing, and you just got all immature about it, just repent. Just go back. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your family. It's so unnecessary. We need to be grown-ups. And not get our feelings hurt. It seems like our society now as a whole, our culture now as a whole, is looking for an excuse to get their little feelings hurt. I don't know what it is, but it's like, I demand an apology from whatever about whoever. You see it all the time in the news. We demand an apology. To me, it's like, how genuine is it if you demand an apology? Someone's like, okay, I apologize. Well, yeah, but if I had to demand it out of you, it didn't really mean it. It's like, I demand I tell you love me. How does that work? It's like, okay. I mean, that's not genuine. Anyway, let's all grow up. Let's all grow up and be grown-ups. Next thing, why people don't go to church is because, they think it's boring. And a lot of it is. A lot of it is really boring, especially if it's religion and man-made tradition and all that's in ritual. That can get pretty dry. If it's not God-centered and not, and they're more into their rituals than actual relationship with God and all that stuff, it's going to be real boring. There are some just drop dead boring. They're dead churches out there, and I wouldn't want to go to them either. They're just flat boring. But if you've been to a boring church, you're like, I'm never going back. I did go to this church when I was little. I was a little kid, and it was the boringest thing ever. It probably was boring, and I would just say this: don't judge us by like our worst specimen. There's a lot of great churches out there. To me, like, it's almost a sin to make the most interesting, amazing, wonderful book, the Bible, boring. You hear a boring preacher, you're just like, frick, dude, how can you make something so legit, so lame? What you're doing is just wrong. But it happens. So if you hear this, I don't want you to confuse what I'm saying. Don't mistake, religion and ritual with routine. At our church at Gateway, we go to Gateway Church in South Lake, Texas. They sing first, and then they have, the pastor comes up and he does some in-betweensy stuff, and then the preacher preaches. Well, that's a routine. There's nothing wrong with having a routine. The worship at the tabernacle at the temple, there was a routine, there was a system to it. I don't believe, and God's a God of order, so I don't believe that it's just be the show up and mishmash and whatever. I don't subscribe to that at all. But yeah, some churches are just flat boring, dude. And find one that's not, because there's a whole lot out there that aren't. And different churches have different styles and different personalities, and you got to find one that fits you. There's some preachers, and I won't disparage any preacher unless they're just flat out teaching wrong gospel or wrong truth. Then I'll just freaking eat their lunch. But anybody that's out there doing it, and teaching right stuff, but maybe they're not my style or personality, I'm not going to disparage them. It's just someone I don't really enjoy listening to. But there's a lot of people out there I really dig listening to. I mean, maybe you're the kind of guy that's like, yeah, I've been listening to you, and you're pretty flat boring. Well, okay. Or I just don't dig you. Okay, and you need to shave. Well, okay. Fair enough. That's fine. It is America, and you can do what you want. Go find somebody you can learn from. Go find somebody that you do enjoy listening to. There's no excuse. In 2013, with the internets and churches everywhere, there's been no better time, no easier time to access good biblical teaching and awesome churches than at any time in history. It's the best right now. So there's no excuse to just be like, well, I just can't find a church. I heard that so many times when I was a local pastor. I talk to people just out and about everywhere, and they're like, yeah, well, we just moved here, and we just haven't got plugged into a church yet. And they kind of find out they moved to town like 5 years ago. You can't find a church in 5 freaking years. You know why? Because you don't care to. It's obviously not a priority for you. So don't give me that line of BS about, oh, I can't find a church. There's freaking churches everywhere. Open your phone book. There's like 120 of them in a 5-mile radius. You can find one where you fit. The problem is you don't want to find one where you fit. That's the real truth. I'm just keeping it real. Folks, I'm just keeping it real. Because that's what I do. So the next reason people don't go to a church, they just don't see the value in it. Maybe you're watching this and you're like, dude, I smoke cigars. I believe in God good enough. That's why I signed up on Blessed Leaf when I even seen this video, or I just stumbled across you on YouTube and I smoke cigars, and I like Abercrombie stuff. So I'm watching you or whatever. But dude, I never been to church. I don't see any value in it. I'd rather sleep in. I'd rather do all this stuff. Dude, I hear you. It's nice to sleep in. It's nice to barbecue. It's nice to get up, to have a few adult beverages, some refrescos, and smoke cigars and just chill on the weekend. I totally get that. That's like way cool. But hopefully, maybe go back and watch the rest of the videos. There is a tremendous value in going and getting involved in a local fellowship. And you can do all of those other things. I do. I dig barbecue and hang with my family and my friends and frying a turkey, watching the game. When football season finally started, I'm like really stoked. And just smoking a shite ton of cigars and enjoying life, But in all that, God's a priority. I make sure that God is a priority. And, however many hours there are in a week, I should have got my calculator and totaled it up. 24 times 7, you can carve out an hour or an hour and a half, just little, to fit God into your lifestyle, to fit God into your routine. You really can. And the value in it is, there's so much of it. Go back and look at the other videos. It's going to bless your life. try it out. Find a church that you're going to like. I mean, I talked to a guy at IPCPR, and it's funny when people find out that I'm a minister and pastored for a long time. They start treating you different. I had a rep come up to me and say, "Oh, I go to church, but I'm pretty old school." And he's an older gentleman, really cool guy. But he's like, I like the more traditional. I like organ music, and to me that's church, and because that's what I was raised with, and a lot of the new stuff I'm just not comfortable with. Dude, rock on, dude. Do whatever you got to do. If that's a style that fits your personality, do it. Do it. Just find a church or local fellowship, Bible study, something where you're going to fit. Maybe it's something at your cigar shop. That would be so legit. I hope you get together and you watch Blessed Leaf stuff. That would be awesome. I would be so stoked. I'd be so blessed. But you gotta do something. And the worst thing you can do is just not fellowship and just totally become a spiritual hermit. And here's why. And I'll close with this. Because anytime, spiritually or even in the natural, when you are alone, you're vulnerable. That's why the enemy will try to get you by yourself, try to get you isolated. I mean, even if you watch Animal Planet and the lions get that little antelope or whatever, that zebra, isolated, that's when they're vulnerable. And there's safety in a multitude of counsel. Brothers are born for a time of adversity. There's strength, there's protection, there's blessing in being involved in those God relationships in a local fellowship. So protect yourself spiritually, and make this a priority. I just encourage you, I admonish you to do this. The Word tells us that iron sharpens iron, and as iron sharpens iron, so one man, one person sharpens another. We're better together than we are separate. Your life will become better. You will become sharper. You become more mature. You become a better believer. You become a better person when you have other believers that are taking the journey with you. They're strengthening you. They're encouraging you. They're challenging you. And plus, just fun to go take the journey with friends. It sucks to have to go do something by yourself. I'd much rather go do a cigar event with my partners in Ezra Zion, Chris and then Alan, than have to go do something by myself. I mean, it's fun to go smoke cigars, but I'd rather do it with my boys. So, same sort of thing. Same sort of thing. All right, well, if you haven't followed us on Instagram or Twitter, you got to do it now. It's at blessed_leaf. I post all that stuff, and it is A1 material. Also, like us on Facebook if you would. It's facebook.com/blessedleafcommunity. And if you haven't signed up on Facebook, if you're listening to this podcast from iTunes or Podbean or you watch it on YouTube, go to blessedleaf.com. Even if you're not in a relationship with God right now, you're just kind of like, sniffing it out. Dude, that's totally cool. Go to blessedleaf.com, create a profile, and sniff it out, man. Snoop and poop all over the place. Read the articles, watch the videos, and, see what this Jesus thing is all about. That would be way cool. But sign up on blessedleaf.com. Join this awesome Christian cigar community. People just taking the journey together. And it would be awesome. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless you. Bye-bye.